Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know if I'll ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high. Even if the sky is falling down. Jumping from cliffs so high, trusting our wings to fly. Sometimes we're crashing down, but we get up and start from the ground. And I really wanna know if I'll ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high. Even if the sky is falling down, even if the sky is falling down, yeah. The sky is falling down. Even if the sky is falling down, even if the sky is falling down, yeah. The sky is falling down.
Whenever you're down, out in the cold, faithless and dark, your story's untold. Come take my hand and walk there with me. I know a place where we can be free. There is a light shining for you, guiding your way, helping you through. And shadows and gloom are all that you see. We'll find a place
Hey, what is going on, everybody? It is good to have you on here at Tuesday Tea Time. My name is Icky Timey, and I've got the wonderful pleasure of hanging out with some of our amazing young adults here in the SEC. Today, we're hanging out with the New Life team. That's right, the New Life Church Plant team. Just before I share a little bit about them, I do want to remind you, if you love being with us, if you love me please, hit that subscribe button and follow us. Make sure that you hit a like, share it with some folks, and let's make sure we spread the love out. You know, this internet thing has got a lot of trolls and haters and darkness in it. So let's brighten up this space together by constantly putting out stuff every week that's going to be life-bearing and faith-giving. So if you haven't already, I want to invite you, go ahead and smash that like button and the subscribe. And every week, we'll be trying to bring you something that you'll enjoy. Now, this week, we're going to be hanging out with the New Life Church team, Ashton Hardin, Kenneth Miranda, and John De La Paz. This amazing group of young adults are doing something that's pretty amazing in the local area of Temple City. So you're going to want to hear their story. We're going to talk about worship. We're going to talk about community. We're going to talk about COVID-19 and music, emotional and mental health for their peers. We're going to talk all about it here in a sec. Roll with us, my friends. Here we go. What's up, everybody?
What's up? What's up?
Hey, what's up? What's
What's
up?
going on? For those of you who are joining us right now, I want to introduce to you the New Life crew. This is New Life SoCal crew, and we're going to be talking today with John De La Paz. We're going to be hanging out with Ashton Hardin, and we're going to be talking with Kenneth Miranda. Now, just before we got this started, kicking off, we were just warming up just before that countdown was going down, and Ashton was fired up and ready to go. So if you're watching along and you're excited for Ashton to share some wisdom and truth, go ahead and drop it into the comments and let us know where you're watching from. I want to say what's up to our guy, Jed. Jed is, that's not Jed, that's John. I want to say what's up to John and Katrina and Matt and all of our crew. As you're watching with us, we're going to start talking here. My friends, what are you drinking today? I'm going to start with John. John, what are you drinking today?
Yeah, for those who don't know, it's Tea Pumps Tuesday, and so I have in my hand my favorite drink at the moment. This is brown sugar, mango vanilla, black milk tea with oat milk.
Yo, you win for creative drink of the month, bro. That is good.
Yo, it's great.
What is that bad boy called?
That's what it is. No, you go to the place, you order brown sugar, mango vanilla, black milk tea.
You got to say that whole thing.
Yeah, it's brown sugar. It's right there.
That's
brown sugar, mango vanilla, black milk tea.
All right. Ashton, what do you
I recommend it.
Your basic chai spice tea.
Chai, very good. You made it yourself?
Yes, with a tea bag.
Nice. You get credit for making it yourself.
Thanks.
What about you, Kenny? What are you drinking?
Well, I have this mug here from Storyville Coffee in where is it? Seattle, Washington. And I'm just drinking water because I don't like coffee, but my brother's a huge coffee fan, so he collects mugs and everything. And so, at least I got some hydration coming in.
You're doing the right thing is what you're doing, Kenneth. All of us should be drinking water.
Yeah.
I'm drinking water too, actually. It's really good for you.
Oh, totally. Yeah, that looks
because
great.
It hydrates your body, your skin. Yes. So thanks for coming on. I'm really excited that you guys are on here today. We want to talk a little bit about life, and we're going to talk about what you all are doing here in the Temple City local area, SoCal. Let's start with talking a little bit about your lives, though. John, what is it that you do in life? I mean, you guys have planted down this amazing church ministry during the COVID times. Is that what you do for a living, or do you have an actual job?
That could be an actual job. No, but for a living, I do work as a physical therapist. So I'm a doctor of physical therapy. I currently work in Adventist Health Glendale as an acute care. So I work in the hospital during the past year. It's been fun. Yeah, that's what I do for a living.
Wow, man. That's fantastic. Do you see patients? Are you seeing patients regularly?
Yeah, no, every day.
Mm-mm. Okay. Ashton, what is it that you're doing with yourself?
So I work at the conference. I'm in the
Ah,
Office of Education. So,
very good. So, for
yeah.
those of you watching along who may not know, Ashton is referring to the Southern California Conference of Seventh Day Adventists. She
Yes.
works in it's like the regional office that kind of like holds it down for all the local churches in the area. She works in the education department. Now, shout out to the education department. If you're watching along, shout out to you
Yes.
all for
Shout
your hard
out.
work, keeping kids educated, keeping
Yep.
them educated. And Ashton, how many schools are you working with? Do you work with? Do you keep all together?
Yeah, so we work with 15 K through 12th grade schools, and then there's 7 preschools that we work with.
Wow, 7 preschools.
Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. What is the most exciting thing about your job?
Ooh, really just being able to connect with the teachers and the principals and
Hmm.
hearing the stories of what's going on, especially with the students and how they're growing. Um, just being able to connect with the employees.
Yeah, employees like JP or Nancy. So I'm throwing names out for you, girl. I got your raise in mind. I got a
Yeah.
raise for you in mind.
Yeah.
Dr. Harold Crook, the
Yes.
director, the
Yes.
VP is fantastic. Those are all good people to be working for, and I'm sure it's a lot of work, but it's probably really worth it, isn't it?
Yes, it's a lot of work, but it's God's work. So,
Hey, hey, there it is. John,
yes.
tell me something about your job. What is your favorite part of your job, and what is your least favorite part of your job?
Whew, favorite part of the job, right off the bat is got to be relationships. Like in terms of choosing a job in the medical field, PT is really one of the places where you're able to s- to actually communicate and spend a lot of time with the patient. You're not being
Mm,
rushed out, and you got to encourage them. So being in the hospital, I work. A lot of times people are just in bed and they're not wanting to get up. They're not wanting to move. They're not wanting to do better. And so you get the job of encouraging them, trying to get them to improve, be healthy, and get them out of the hospital, get them home. And so that's probably one of the best parts of it.
is there a
The
part of your
worst
job
part
that you're kind of like, nah, I could do without this?
is those people that don't want to move, and you're just there negotiating. You're using all your tactics. You're using your listening, calm tactic. You're using your more aggressive, like this is what needs to get done, and that's probably the hardest part. Yeah.
Don't judge me, all right? Sometimes I don't want to move, John. So, very good, man. Very good. That's much like ministry, actually. That job is kind of the same in that your best part of your work is people, and the most challenging part of your work is people, right?
That's
uh,
very true.
Kenny, Doctor Kenneth Miranda, tell us,
I
man,
wish.
what is it that you do with your life as a young adult?
So it's complicated, but right now I am finishing up a master's in school psychology
Okay.
while I am interning as a school psychologist in a school. So what that is pretty much uh, the way I like to say it is you're an advocate for the student. Whatever they
Mm,
need for their education, you go and you do a lot of the sciencey work behind it and make sure like you can justify certain things. The science justifies certain things, but you just go in there and fight for the kids and make sure they get the best education, the most appropriate placement within the school possible, and do a lot of counseling, a lot of mental health interventions,
mm.
and all that stuff.
How do you?
So yeah.
What's one tangible example of how you fight for the kids, Kenneth, in your role?
Yeah, so one is if we have a student who's doing poorly in school, we'll do an assessment and kind of evaluate to see if they need special education. And then
Mm,
if they do, which is pretty much just individualized support, we try to find the best placement for them and the best intervention so that they can succeed. Because a lot of times it's not because kids aren't trying enough, it's because and we'll probably get this in a little bit, but it's all, just like your brain is just not functioning how it should be, and it's finding the reason why, and giving them that little support, not like not like that their brain is wrong or anything, but it's just like all the other parts of the body,
Yeah,
our body needs maintenance, our body needs,
absolutely.
medicine sometimes. So same thing with the brain. It needs just that little push sometimes, and just get them on the right track, and we see them just grow, and we see them just learn so much, and it's just
Mm.
awesome just being able to fight for the students.
Yeah, man, that's very true. Very true. Very good, Kenneth. That's awesome, man. I find that just like our bodies, it needs to be fed.
Mm.
Like my body's always calling for donuts, and I feel like I become a better
Yeah,
man
mine too.
once I have them.
Mercy.
Shout out to Sidekicks. Shout out to our girl Katie, who is rocking hard in the Compton district, and she's calling you down, Kenneth. She's like, "Come on, man.
Wow.
Well, yeah, come on to
Yeah.
the Compton
Yeah.
USD." Yeah, she's doing good work up there, as I'm sure you are in your district as well. Hey, John, let's roll back to this, my bro. How did you come to the conclusion of starting New Life? Like, where was this idea birthed? And just take us through that, would you?
Yeah, so the story probably begins in the summer of 2014. I just came back, just finished at La Sierra, and I was coming back home, and over at an Adventist campus, there's usually tons of programs, worship services going on,
Yep.
From Friday nights, Saturday mornings throughout the week. And coming back home, I was like, man, we need to do something for the young adults, have some kind of worship service.
Yeah.
And that started as a Friday night service called Converge, and that's actually, some people may recognize that name. And so we did that for a few years. So 2014, 2018 came in various styles. We hosted an arts festival, an annual arts festival for a while.
Those are
and that was
actually
awesome.
pretty good, man. Those are really cool events.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to have one again soon.
Yeah.
But in the summer of 2018, the leadership team, paused. We took a break, and we were like, what we're doing is good, but we think we can do even better. And so we took some time to plan and think things out. And me in particular, I started reaching out to some mentors and people for advice. One of them being you, Hickey. And this idea of a church plant kept popping up. And at first, I like church plant. That's never really spoken of in the area. But then it just kept coming up. To really impact your local community and to grow your faith community. This church plant kept coming up. So I researched it more, and I was like, you know what, maybe there is a calling towards, starting a church. And so the journey actually started in 2019. We launched, we had an interest meeting with about maybe 10 people there.
Right on.
Yeah, and we held it in the church lobby. I was very intentional about holding it in the church lobby because, one, we were coming from the church, but with the outward focus, meaning we're needing to go from the church. And then we tried various styles. Church plants have different formats. We started as a Wednesday night small group Bible discussion, and that was okay. But you find out you have a lot of college students who have an exam on Thursday.
Yeah.
Wednesday nights just wasn't working out. We had like an early Saturday morning service, and that was okay. But it was a lot of work because we were at our mother church, which is here at Temple City, and it was just a lot of setup because we have an awesome potluck that we had to prepare for. And eventually in February, we started at a new time. We started on Saturday evenings. This was at 5 p.m. And so Saturday evenings can apply because, if you're thinking about an outward focus, evenings can be a little bit weird time to think about as a church. But if you're wanting to invite people who are outside of the faith,
Right.
Saturday evenings actually allow a pretty good time. And so here we are in February. We had our first meeting here, and it actually worked out. We out of the different formats, this is the one we like the best. This is like, all right, we are ready to move forward with this. And then we had one more service, and then the world shut down.
That's right. That's right.
But we were able to grow and develop over this time. If you look in this picture, you notice the two other people here weren't even in that picture. And so since that time, we were able to grow.
I was looking for Ashton, and I was
the
like,
leadership team was able to expand. And so here we are in October 2020. We started having some outdoor services in person in the fall. And so, we started with 10 I'm forgetting the numbers, but we went to like upward to like 60, 70 people at one of our worship services. So praise God for that.
Yeah, I spoke at one of those, and it
Yeah.
was a good amount of people. They were, it's a large lawn, so they were able to spread out in their like social distance safe groups. There were families, there were couples, there were single folk everywhere, and I was like, man. And it was the first time I'd come back to church in a long time because we'd been on break, and it just something felt so right to be in there, bro. I have to say it was fantastic, and I don't know if Ashton was there either. It's hard to see Ashton; she's a little short, so you never know. She could be there. You just you miss her or something. But I was just so enthralled about how awesome things were happening there. So since we're picking on Ashton, I want to ask Ashton, how did you join the group? And then after that, I want to just you too, Kenny, like how'd you come into this? Ashton, how did this all come about for you?
Oh boy. Actually, how I first got connected with New Life was actually through you, Icky. So, yeah, so about, what was it, December of 2019, I went to you and I was like, hey, Icky, I'm looking for a community. I had just moved out to the Glendale area, so I started working at the conference, and
Mm-hmm.
I was be full transparent here. I was really struggling, and I was looking for a community and a place where I could grow closer with God and get back into ministry again. And so that's when I reached out to you, and you connected me with John, and that's how I got to New Life.
That is
And
awesome.
it's been a journey, and I'm really grateful that you connected me with John. I had no idea that this is where it was going to lead me, though, to be honest. When you
Mm.
first connected me with John, it was just more for me just to get involved and to find a sense of community. I did not picture myself actually becoming part of the leadership team.
Yeah, John, I'm gonna be
Yeah.
real with you. After the first time, Ashton was like, I don't know about this group of people. Like, really? Like, Icky, what are you sending me into? I was like, no, trust me, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. And see, you're welcome, Ashton. You're welcome. Now, I do want to pause at something that Ashton said and celebrate it. Ashton, you said that during this time you were actually struggling. Can I just pause there for a moment and let us all soak that in? It is okay for you to be able to say you're struggling through something. For you, whoever's watching this, if you are dealing with something, the last thing you should do is try to hide it away into a deep cavernous place. That's gonna kill you inside. It's okay, number one, to be struggling, and number two, it's okay for you to share that you are struggling. That is important for our young people to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ashton, for being brave enough and courageous enough to share that, and we want to empower that always. We want to empower that always. Kenneth, my man, Kenny, tell us how you got wrapped up into this crazy group of human beings, man.
Yeah, so it's funny because I met John. He was probably one of the first people I met at La Sierra when I came. I was just coming in. I think he was just nearing his time there. And we got involved in this ministry called Roots, which was just going to different churches and doing music. And I just, I signed up for everything music because I loved it. And yeah, ever since then, we've been doing a lot of music together. And then he left, and to be honest, I didn't hear much
Left a
from
void
John.
in
I
your
was like,
life.
Just disappeared.
I was like, I missed this, but yeah, and it was actually when COVID hit, then when I was sitting around, and because of social media and being a musician, I've met a lot of musicians that serve in churches. A lot of them Adventist, a lot of them not. And I just saw some of the very creative projects they were doing. These churches, specifically non-Adventist churches, and I remember thinking to myself, just laying in my bed, and being like, there's got to be something more we can do. Like,
Mm.
there's a huge just amount of people who are longing for connection, a longing for music within the Adventist church, and we've got other churches doing these things. Like, there's no reason why the Adventist church can't do this. And so I just remember looking, like scrolling through Instagram and just seeing like some New Life post, and I was like, wait, is that John? Like, he's still going. Like, so
Still
we
around.
linked up, and and it was like, old friends. Obviously, we knew each other. It was like resuming where we just left off, and it just all happened from there.
Wow, wow. Man, thank you guys. This is great to hear this, and I just hope there's a young adult out there, or youth, or somebody who's watching who's like, man, I don't know if there's any space for me in the church. It's so refreshing to be able to hear our young adults. How many of you are millennials? How many of you are millennials? Millennials? Are any of you millennial? Are you?
I have no idea.
I don't know. I think I'm Gen Z.
Oh, Gen Z. Yeah, me
I
too. I'm
think-
Gen Z, so I totally understand, Ashton. These other
Like
two old heads
borderline.
over here, it's like I totally get it. Why so much passion for another church plant, John? Why? I mean, like we've got all kinds of random ministries out there. Why start another one?
Yeah. So this is a deep question. I'll try to get in as few points as possible. One, we know absolutely that there's a need. Like if you look at the stats, Barna Reese publishes their stats. I think there's a 93% decline in the church population in the past 13 years. If you look at the millennial age group, they say only 2 out of 10 millennials consider church important. And that's just the Christian faith in general. If you look at just the Adventist faith, the conference, the structure, and the larger division also releases their numbers, and you can see that there is a decline in membership. And so we know absolutely that there is a need. But two, as coming from an Adventist background, we know absolutely that it's in our history and it's in our culture. You see things like the North American division, they actually made a goal for in 2020 to have by 2020 to plant 1,000 churches. Because if you look at the data, only 92% of churches have planted in the past 10 years. And, that's unfortunate because every church began as a church plant at some point. But you look at a few things, church planting increases the number of workers. People often think about, if you're planting one church, potentially that could cause, another church to go down. But you really have to think of it as a kingdom thinking, as we're all part of this mission for God. Yeah. And so if you have multiple churches, you are increasing the people that can help others. If you think about, the different kinds of programs that churches can do, like VBS, Sabbath School, Pathfinders, church planting is one of the best programs a church can do because it's evangelism, it's discipleship, it creates spiritual growth. It's just one of the best things a church can do. And if you look at, some of the mother churches, they usually recover in their membership like within 6 months. And then there creates this synergy where not only the church plant is growing, but the mother church also creates this like growing mentality. And, how can we continue to grow and improve and do better from where we were? So church planting is just this awesome, framework through which we can view church.
It creates a fresh sense of ownership as well to the next generation over. We know that ownership's important. The problem is sometimes it's really toxic because once I feel like I own something, I'm not giving that thing up, right? And it really cuts out different generations who wanna own the gospel and the kingdom as well and go running out with it. So, there's absolutely a need, man. And I thank you for your courageous vision and willingness to heed to Jesus when Jesus said, "Come follow me," man, because let's be real, it's just easier to just go to church and not do anything. Pay your tithe, get your checked in, and go have a good meal at Sizzler's afterwards or something. But getting bold enough to step out and do that. And there are a lot of moments in church planting where it's super lonely. You're like, dude, this is like, is anybody with me? Or there's moments where you're like, you've prepared and service starts and there's nobody there and you're like, oh, I spent so much of my life on this, right? And so it's not an easy trek where you're like, I got this and it's all of a sudden going to be a success. It takes nurture and love and consistency. So Good work, bro. If you are joining us, I am hanging out with the New Life SoCal crew, some of the leadership right here with us. We're talking about church planting. We're talking about young adults. We're talking about mental health. We're talking about it all and faith. We're going to do the 3, 2, 1 hack section. This is the moment where I give our guests a section where they can give us 3 practical tips, 2 practical tips, and 1 practical tip with something in their wheelhouse. So it's a really valuable education piece. If you're ready for it, we're about to get going. So get your pencil or your typewriter out and get ready to take notes. I've asked these 3 a 3, 2, 1 tip, and I'm going to start with Kenneth. Kenny, can you give us 3 tips on how to record your song and make it sound pro? And I'll give you a quick example. Some of us got songs that we want to do, and we're decent musicians, or, we can play an instrument and sing. And then we sit down and we're like, this is going to be awesome. And we turn on our little iPhone and we push record and we're singing into it, and it's pretty amazing live. And then we play it back and we're like, what is this? What demon got into my phone and ruined my music, right? So can you give us 3 practical tips on how to take our music to the next level when we're recording it?
Yeah, that's exact story has happened with me so many times. So the first thing I found is, 1, collaborate. There's so many awesome people, and that's why I love things like this New Life, because we're also creating a network of people, a network of opportunity as well. I want to share, and I want to be a resource to people. Anybody that needs anything, feel free to reach out to me. Like, I want to be that resource. And so that's the number 1 thing, is collaborate. Go before you even start recording, send your song out to your friends, people who you trust with music, people who you don't trust with music. You'll be surprised what you get, and get feedback. It's very important that it becomes a group effort.
That feedback bit hurts a little bit.
What was that?
That feedback part hurts a little bit.
It does. It definitely does. And that goes to my second point, which is speak from the heart. When you write a song, know what you want it to accomplish, and be passionate about it, because there's so many times where if we write a song just to write a song, chances are we're not going to finish it, because we're just not passionate about it. But the moment we work on something that we're passionate about and share a story that we need to share, just nothing can hold us back, from sharing that story. And
Very good.
and the last one, which is a very practical, is playing to a click. Metronome. It's hard.
Can you
at first,
please say that again? That is worth hearing again and again.
Definitely. Metronome always, even when you're practicing, but especially when you're recording. Play to a metronome. It'll make things easier, and it'll actually help you. There's software that if you play to a metronome and you're off, it'll just align it right there for you. But you can only do that if you play to the metronome. So that's
I hate
my
the
number
metronome.
1 tip.
It offends me, because it like hurts my feelings. I'm like, no, metronome,
Right.
you're off. Not me, you are.
Right. Yep, it's a humbling tool for a musician.
Is.
Whenever you think you're good, just put a metronome on, and you'll be surprised real quick.
Yeah. Now, people may wonder. So I'm just gonna point this out. People may wonder why I asked you about music, since you technically are in psychology and children counseling. Why did I ask you about music? What is your role here at New Life SoCal and your passion?
So when I reached out to John, and what I realized was that there is a big need in the Adventist church for original music. And again, I see all these different churches doing music, and that's awesome. We're all uplifting God and writing songs about God, and that's great. We need more of that. But there is just a specific beauty found within the Adventist church. I just found incredible people, an incredible message, and there needs to be more stories shared that are coming from within the Adventist church, because I know we have stories. I know we have testimonies, and I've been in music for quite some time, and so I reached out to John, and I was like, hey, I really want to help take New Life and write some original music, as well as just create worship moments for people. Whether it's live, or in this case, it was, during the shutdown. So first we got to start with, just inspirational moments, songs people know, but songs people need to hear, again, with inspirational thoughts, inspirational moments. And then once we gather that, once we gather people following, get those people and start writing and start sharing stories that have come from, I believe every person has a story to share, and every person's story is important. And I just want to help, you know, release those stories out to the world, and that they hopefully may be able to help somebody else that has a similar story.
Nice. How many instruments do you play?
Oh man. well, I would say zero, but I regularly play the piano, and drums are my two main ones.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very good, bro. Thank you so much. That was a great three tipper for you for if you are going to record music, collaborate,
Share from the heart,
share from the heart,
play to a metronome.
and play to a metronome. There it is, my friends. Okay, we're going to go over to John. John, you're going to give us two tips on how to take an idea, a concept, or a vision to a product, right? And I thought you would be great at this because you were the one who actually have, God gave you this vision and this idea about New Life, and you were able to move it from an inspiration to an actual space in the world. So can you give us two tips on how someone can take an idea to tangible product?
Yeah. Number one is research and prepare. Just do a lot of gather as much information, some of it useful, some of it not, and just soak it all in, get experience. Sometimes like we're talking about church planting, I would just go to other churches just to sit in, see what the experience is like, see how it's welcoming, see the music, see what works, what doesn't. Listening to podcasts, reading books. And then number two, ask for help. Have the humility, you're not doing this on your own. You don't have to be perfect. Look at you guys here. Icky, you've shared a lot of, insight and information. And then these two, if you're not being willing to get help, these two are such a key part of New Life, and we wouldn't be where we are if not for them.
Wow, very good, very good. So look at different resources and soak in as much information as possible about that particular product you're trying to do, and then secondly, make sure that you ask for help, that you collaborate, that you talk with others. Yeah, we've had many conversations, John. I recall myself saying, "Don't do it," and run, and you didn't listen, not at all. So those are the consequences of a not listening leader, John. That's
I didn't run far enough, I guess.
Yeah, you didn't run far enough. The Lord has this weird way of finding us.
I ran in the wrong direction.
Yeah. At least you didn't get sucked up by a whale or some kind of big, animal.
That's
So,
what happens anyway.
oh man, very good, very good. All right, Ashton, you're gonna give us one tip on how to find mental balance during this COVID season. I think that's a specific question because young adults have been struggling through it, and it can be a difficult time being isolated, feeling separated from community. So what's one thing you can do to find mental balance in the COVID season?
Oof, yeah, that looks different for everyone, but I would say the first thing you should do is see what your niche is. For some people, it's being outside in nature. That's actually for me. Um, Going out for car drives, connecting with God is really important one. Whatever that thing is, do it consistently. Like make sure that you have a routine that, maybe Wednesdays are the days, just going out for a drive.
Nice.
It's just to clear your head and to listen to music in the mornings, is it to do your devotionals? Is it to connect with God? Is it picking up a phone call and calling somebody? Because oftentimes when we are struggling or when we feel like, life's not going the way we want it to go, and we tend to isolate ourselves and we don't connect with others, and we don't do things that we would normally do just out like for the fun of it. So making sure that, finding that balance, and oftentimes creating that balance is creating a structure first.
Nice. Ooh, that was very wise, Ashton. Very good. Very good. Find that thing. Find that thing that you can do consistently to uplift and break you away from all the monotony of this COVID situation, right? That is,
Yeah.
if I hear you correctly, yeah, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
very good. One of my favorite things to do weekly is just to hear JP O'Connor's voice. That handsome voice of his. I'm just giving JP a shout out for those of you who have no idea who JP is. JP is one of Ashton's colleagues over there in the education department. What's JP's last name?
Willis.
Willis. It's not even O'Connor. That's somebody completely different. JP, he's gonna give me a call. Icky, I heard you talk. He's got this beautiful, deep, just baritone voice, man. It's real nice, real nice.
He does. He can
He
sing
does.
very well.
Ooh, that dude can sing. That dude can sing, man. Ooh. Mm. All right, that's enough. That's enough talking about that guy. He's not on here with us today. We're gonna go back to us time. So we every particular community has a niche. You guys have a particular niche. You guys tend to take on some, especially more recently, some of these really cool projects. I want to kind of look at a couple of them here and let's talk about it. Here's one of your first music videos that you all put out. And can you fill me in on this, guys? When this happened and, what this is about.
We're so thankful that you've been able to tune in every week.
Yeah,
Kenneth.
so I'll share. So this is an original song we wrote. Again, like I shared from the beginning, one of my goals was just to write original music and to start sharing stories. So this came out of Kayla, so the girl singing right here. She just had a thought, and again, back to my 3 points. The first thing I was like, well,
Nice.
let's collaborate. Let's find people. So I hit up John, and we brought in another friend called Tiana, and we had a very long all-day Zoom session where we were just writing and trying to think of ideas that spoke from the heart and just collaborating with both lyrics and music. And we came up with that song in like one day, I think. One day
Wow,
or 2 days.
really?
Yeah, and we were like, okay, we could spend time tweaking it and just like working on it forever, but no, let's just put it down, let's record it. And I think that's one of the best ways to encourage us to keep moving forward, because we can always be like, oh, we don't like this, or this could be better. But no, there's a time where we have to commit and just know that we have to move forward, and that's the best way to learn.
Wow.
So this was, yes, one of the songs that came out from our leadership team.
And what's the name of this song?
It is the name of the song. John, do you remember?
King of every heart.
King of every heart.
Let's just hear a piece of it here, guys. Let's listen in here. If you're watching along, we are with New Life SoCal. This is one of their musical video projects.
Now, King of my heart, there's nothing you ask for, just my
This is
heart.
original music.
A life fully lived for you.
The guy's on the guitar.
How I love you, King of every heart, 'cause you gave it all for me. Oh, and there is no other who deserves all praise. I know I have been set free.
Now, how difficult was this to do this during the pandemic time?
Definitely more difficult than if we were in person, because obviously recording alone is not easy, and especially like recording coming from different people. Different people have different experience levels of recording, so quality is different, and yeah, it was pretty tricky because we have to make sure that they all are following, like I said, to a click. Otherwise everybody's tempo is going to be different. So
We all come back to your 3, Ken.
Yeah. Look how Ken brought us back around, man. Look how he brought us back around. That's an educated man right there.
But yeah, it was pretty difficult. But the first step for that was just making a rough track with the click and with some piano that people can follow along to. And once that was done, before even the song was finished, I just sent the track to different musicians, so the guitarist, the different singers, and they just recorded on top of it without knowing what the song would actually kind of sound like. You know, we just gave them like, oh, here are the chords, just play this. And they didn't know what the vocals were going to sound like or the melody was going to sound like. And, you know, even like the background singers didn't necessarily know what the main singer was going to sing like. And so we were all kind of doing it blindly, but it just came together really nicely, mainly because everyone's so talented. But yeah.
Wild. I want to, before we move on, I do want to look at one more project that you guys are actually currently doing right now. That's correct, right? Is like you guys are working on this right now. Can you talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and share my screen just so you guys can kind of see some of the behind the scenes. We don't have video for this yet, but I'll show you guys, and it'll give you guys a good look of what the audio process looks like. So we did an outdoor recording the other day, and these are the files, and this is the project I'm working on. And so you got all like the different vocal files and the different instrument files, and I'll play you guys a little snippet, and then I'll talk about it.
Cool.
So yeah, that's one of the projects we're working on, and I'm working on this program called Logic, and we pretty much just get all the individual files. The soundboard records everything separately, and it's my job to put it together and make it sound cohesive and do like little like EQ, different surgery things here, and you know, different things that look really complicated. And honestly, I kind of just turning knobs until it sounds good. But yeah, it's definitely a process, and yeah, it's definitely great to see things just open up a little bit enough for us to get together and record. This distance thing was cool, but there's just a different kind of, you know, energy and cohesiveness when people are together. And obviously we followed all the safety guidelines with masks, and everyone was pretty distanced, and you know, safety is our #1 priority. But we were trying to find a way, can we be safe, but also like bring this like in-person kind of environment? And this is what we came up with, and we're currently editing, so stay tuned, and hopefully you'll see it in a couple of weeks.
That's fresh. If any of you out there are interested in creating music, in leading into that particular area or field, you want to connect with New Life, because they really are on the threshold of this. They're cutting edge. They're working on it, and they're creating. They're creatives. They're creating music into this space, and I think that's absolutely beautiful. Maybe you're watching and you have a child, a daughter or a son who you just know, has a drive, a passion, and a gift for it. I want you to connect them to New Life SoCal. If you're looking in the description, the link for their website is there. I also put John's phone number and his social security number, so if you need that, you can go ahead and grab onto that.
It's just been going around, man.
Yeah. His credit is great, by the way. I bought a house. So if you need to, feel free to jump on that. Hey, listen, we're going to do the Love One, Leave One game, you guys. Are you down to play with me? Yes, that's right. This is the Love One, Leave One game. Real simple rules here, everyone. And if you're watching along with us, this is the time for you to jump in and drop some comments and play with us. Real simple. I'm going to give you 2 options. You have to choose which one to love and which one to leave. All you have to say is love the one that you want, and the other one we leave. Whichever one you choose, the whole world can experience it and enjoy it for the rest of their lives. But whichever one you don't choose must disappear from existence for eternity. And no one again can use it. No pressure, but pressure. All right, you guys are ready to roll? Okay, if you're watching along, open up your keyboards, get ready on your tablets or on your smartphones, get ready to start answering with us. I'm going to go, and we've got 1.5 minutes to run through each of these. Here we go. All right. Keys or guitar?
Are you asking all of us?
Yes, all of you.
Love keys, leave guitar.
Oh, keys, leave guitar.
Love keys, leave guitar. Also. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
Sorry,
no guitars ever again, my friends. Early morning sunrises or late night jam sessions?
Late night jam sessions, love.
Late night jam sessions.
Late night jam sessions.
You are such young adults. You are such young adults. It's horrible. iOS or Android?
iOS.
iOS by far.
Okay, solo artist or collaborations?
Collaborations. Got to stick with my points.
Collab.
Okay. Live with your parents or your parents live with you? There is a
Parents live with
difference.
you.
Live with my
Parents live with you, yeah.
Parents live with you. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay,
I
okay.
agree.
You know they still own you, right? Either way. So, all right. Breakfast for dinner or dinner for breakfast?
Breakfast for dinner, all day, every day.
Yes, me too.
Breakfast for dinner.
Breakfast for dinner.
Yes, I've done
Hawaii
that.
or Greece?
Ooh.
Ooh.
Greece.
Oh.
If someone buys me a plane ticket to either, I'll take it.
or Santorini or Honolulu, I'll go.
Okay. A cake or pie?
Cake.
Bye.
Cake.
Oh, good work. Yes. Now, who said cake? One of us said cake.
I said cake.
You
Oh,
said cake.
Yeah, no.
Oh no,
Kenny was
one
that
said
liar.
pie.
I was the pie guy.
You
Well,
were the
it
pie
depends
guy.
on where cheesecake falls. If cheesecake falls under pie, then pie. But if cheesecake falls under cake, then cake.
Now you're talking, Kenny. So you're thinking it through, but the problem is we don't have enough time to think it through.
We only had a
Cheesecake
minute and a
loses.
half.
Yeah. So let's take a few moments here. We're on the back end of our time together. If you're just jumping in here, welcome on to Tuesday Tea Time. We're hanging out with the New Life SoCal leadership crew here. We've got John De La Paz, we have Ashton Harden, and we've got Kenneth Miranda. Miranda, right, Kenneth?
Yep.
All right. So this is who we're hanging with today, and we're talking about all things that has to do with life in 2020 and 2021, church planting, ministry, mental emotional health, and of course, faith. We're going to move on here to the mental and emotional health section of our time. John, how has this past year in COVID affected the mental and emotional health of your team in this new ministry plant? But by the way, this is crazy, right? Because planting a church in normal times is super hard. Like it's like, you know, church plants are popping up and closing like restaurants are. They're like here one day, they're gone the next. But you were like, you know what? It's too easy to do it in a normal time. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna wait for COVID to hit, and then I'm gonna plant a church. So how has COVID affected the mental and emotional health of your team in this ministry plant time?
Yeah, so just to answer that last part of the question, you know, being a church plant actually worked in our advantage because it's a lot easier to turn and to re-navigate a small like rowboat than it is to turn a big ship. And so being small, we adapted pretty quickly. You know, we once just like shut down just completely in March. You know, took the time apart, separated, rest, but we found a way to gather. We started Google Chat, Google Talks, you know, every Friday or Saturday evening, you know, catching up with one another. And that helped a lot. But when we started really the outdoor services, you know, being safe, following all the precautions, you could tell immediately that like being in community makes such a big difference. And that really helped a lot, you know. Yeah, being with each other really helped. But it's been okay. You know, a lot of us either have a medical background or we have people we care about a lot. And so even though it was a hard time, we were all very understanding. Just being that, again, being a part and then coming back to community just really does make a big difference.
Speaking of community, Ashton, what is the importance of community, do you think, in relationship to mental health, especially a faith community?
Yeah. So, you know, being a part of a community allows you to be able to not be alone, you know, and be able to connect and be able to recognize, you know, I'm not the only one going through this. I'm not the only one that's struggling. And as someone, I'm somebody that actually, you know, tends to be more independent, and I have a hard time, you know, being vulnerable and open when I'm struggling.
Right.
And this own community oftentimes reminds me, hey Ashton, check in.
Right.
And that's the beauty of having a community, is because sometimes you get too caught up in your own world, and that community is that support system that's there to uplift you and to provide resources when you need it and when you don't even realize that you need it. And especially during COVID times right now, community is so important because it's easy to feel completely alone and isolated and get stuck in your own little world and forgetting that there's so much more out there, and God's not done yet. Like, you're not alone, and that there's people around you, and but also it takes you being willing to be a part of that community and also be a resource as well within that community.
So true, so true. I feel as if the opposite of community or isolation is the greatest tool of the enemy for a healthy life. And
Mm,
when we get cornered into that space, we just start spiraling downwards. But the problem is, especially in churches, and I don't know
mm,
why it's so hard for us, but it's really hard for us to be transparent, and then for the church community to kind of come around us. Kenny, why is there a mental health or emotional health taboo or stigma, do you suppose, that causes us from being able to move forward together as a community?
Yeah, I mean, you look at where mental health originated from when, there are these doctors that are like drilling holes in skulls because they believe that you have like evil spirits in you, and those need to be released. And so it was from then on, like that's the history. That's how it started. And there's always been this like divide of like, okay, well, if you have mental health, you must not be religious, or religious people don't struggle with mental health.
Oh, very
Um,
mm,
good.
and
Yeah.
I think that's one of the big breakthroughs that we still have to move past, because the truth is, mental health is like any part of your health. The brain works on, works with, like, it needs to get proper nutrition, and if it doesn't, it needs to get the proper oxygen, and if it doesn't, there are effects. Just like if your lungs or your heart or other parts of your body don't get that proper nutrition, and so we need to give our mental health, we need to love our brains, we need to love our bodies, and community is a big part of that as well. But I believe it's up to us to create spaces where we can talk about that. And I think it hasn't been until recently where a lot of churches have been talking about that, and I think it's awesome to share. I think we need to embrace that some of us even might have those preconceptions, and we need to be
Yeah.
okay with people listening and saying, hey, I'm actually struggling, and I actually don't know if I'm allowed to talk about mental health. And my parents or X or Y person tells me that it's because I'm not religious, or we need to open up those spaces where we can talk, and we can share as a church. Like, the church should definitely be involved in these topics, and we need to
Mm,
be tackling these, because yes, you can have mental health issues and still be Christian. Yes, you
mm.
can believe in God and have faith in God and still struggle with anxiety. 100%.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can have a deep and loving, beautiful relationship with God and still have a panic attack on the freeway and have to pull over. That's a part of our Christian experience, isn't it? So this is a great moment for me
Definitely.
to just plug in real quick. One House is going to be taking that on here in May 16th to 23rd. We are going to do a collaboration with churches around Southern California where we will do a week of prayer on mental health. We've got the LA Department or LA County Department of Mental Health rolling with us. They're going to be doing workshops, and everything is going to be about that because we want to break the stigma together. If you have an opportunity, roll with us. The way we're going to kind of roll this out is the next 2 weeks on our Tuesday tea time, we're going to be having someone from the LA County Department of Mental Health to come on here, and we're going to talk about this. We're just going to really talk about this stuff because we need to take time to talk about this. I want to thank you for you guys who are willing to share and talk about this issue as well. How do you suppose the church should deal with this silence, this silent beast that is just overwhelming our people, our church folk. What do you guys think the church could do to engage this better? John, and then Ash, and then Iz.
Yeah, just right off the bat is opening it up for conversation. Find the space for conversation. Um, when you brought up this topic, I came back. There's a list that Barna released. They did a study of why young adults left the church, and they came to these six points in their studies. One, the church was overprotective, shallow, anti-science, repressive, exclusive, and doubtless. And so I'm thinking of those words like overprotective, repressive, and doubtless in terms of mental health. Hearing people saying, I'm struggling. We're often so quick to assume, like Kenny was saying, that, it's because of a lack of faith that people are struggling. But it's not. It's okay to be in kind of that gray area where you're floating, you don't know what's going on, and you just need to have a conversation with someone. And Barna answers that what kept me Seventh-day Adventist with these is intergenerational relationships, renewal and transformation, testimony, forgiveness, and acceptance. So when you have mentoring, when you have a platform to share, people are more likely to stay and to feel loved.
Nice. Ashton, how about you?
Oh, John just nailed it right on the head, though.
He took all the answers.
Yeah, he took all the answers, but but he's completely right, though.
Yeah.
Creating spaces where people can just talk and be able to reach out to one another, but safe spaces, and coming to it with an understanding and a perspective of being genuine. Because I feel like oftentimes within our church, we have workshops, or we have groups times where we come together simply because we kind of feel like we need to do it, and it's not actually because it's intentional. And people, when someone is struggling, and when people are hurting, they can sense when something's not being intentional or authentic.
Right.
And if we really want to reach out, especially to our young adults, and be able to have these conversations, we need to be able to be intentional about it. One, to be genuine, coming from a place where it's, putting away our own biased perceptions and our own ideas of what, they may be going through, and coming into with a clean and clear mind of, today we're listening to you. And so that means that I'm going to listen, but I'm not going to listen with the intention of replying. I'm going to be actively listening. And I feel like oftentimes we don't do that very well as a church. And that's something that I hope we can move forward together as a church and be able to create those spaces where we are having those conversations, but, tuning in and being more intentional and actively listening rather than just listening to be able to give our own response with our own opinions and our own ideas.
Listening to listen and not listening to respond, huh? Wow. Good. Okay. Kenny, share with us who I just called Iz for no reason.
That's okay.
Sorry, Kenny. I don't know why I just called you Iz.
No worries. I think one of the biggest reasons, or one of the biggest things we can do as a church, is avoid these hypotheticals. We always tend to talk about, like, if a person has mental health, then this, but I think it's up to us now to be like, I have mental health issues, and this is how I have tackled them in the church setting. This is how the church is supporting. This is how, pastors are struggling with mental health issues too. This is how worship leaders are struggling. And I think hearing like actual people dealing with their actual mental health problems and coming out and speaking about it, rather than just always like talking about all these hypothetical, like, made up person has mental health issues, what can we do to support them? No, like, and it's hard, because like we both said, there is this like history of taboo, and it's kind of hard. And people think like, oh, if you share your mental health issues, you're being too vulnerable, or even like, oh, that's not manly, men don't talk about mental health issues. And it's about breaking down those boundaries. But it's about starting with us individually. If I see that bias, if I see that other men aren't talking about mental health issues, I need to be one of those who is talking about it. So I think I think that's one of the big things that our churches can do is just show the real people. And I know it's hard, but I know there's people willing to speak about it.
Yeah, we've got to break that sense of toxic masculinity, don't we? The
Mm,
whole I'm fine, I can do it on my own, I don't need any help kind of thing, huh? Wow.
definitely.
And we need to do that together across churches, across faiths, across cultures, across gender. We've got to find a way to be able to start moving in a healthier direction for all of us. Because right now it's just escalating the numbers of anxiety and depression and mental health that's happening in our world. So we've got to find a way to get across that, don't we?
Definitely.
Good, good, good. Hey, listen, thank you guys for spending your hour with me. And I want to thank all of you out there watching along for spending your hour with us. I am so honored and so privileged to know the New Life SoCal crew. They are doing phenomenal things in the world. Anytime John asks me to do something, I act all chill about it, but inside I'm like a little giddy little kid. I'm like, yeah, I want to be with you guys, you know. And so I also want you all to remember that there are some amazing people in this world doing some amazing stuff, and a good portion of them happen to be young adults. So don't get comfortable, don't get discouraged. If you're looking for a community, there are amazing communities doing beautiful things out there. As we close out our time together here at 5 o'clock, I also want to let you know next week we're hanging out with Maria Campos from the LA County Department of Mental Health. We're going to be talking about the whole thing together. So you want to check in next week. Don't miss out next week. It's going to be a great conversation. She'll be with us for the last 2 weeks of March. And then we're going to push towards our May week of prayer together. But before we check out for the day, I want to give my guests here an opportunity to close out our time by sharing some inspirational thoughts, encouraging words to those who are watching right now and to you who might just be catching this a little bit later. John, could you share some words with us?
I forgot to prepare something here, but I'll just lean back to what we were just talking about is just straight up, you are not alone. Coming back full circle to everything else we talked about, ask for help, collaborate. There's a quote I heard from Pastor Sam Lenore. Ever since I heard him say it, I've said it to other people over and over again. I knew that people were probably tired of me hearing it, of me saying it. And he said this: you can learn truths in isolation, but you cannot learn love apart from community. And so, be in community with people. Find other people that you can lean on and learn from and grow with. And yeah.
Beautiful, man. Thank you. Beautifully said. Shout out to Sam Lenore. What about you, Ashton? Can you share some final words here for those of us watching along?
I would say never forget that your story matters. And while you're going through whatever you're going through, don't be afraid to connect. Don't be afraid, as John said, to be a part of a community, to reach out to people. But most importantly, don't forget that you're a child of God. And so whatever you may be going through or you may have gone through in the past and you don't know what's going on and maybe good things are happening, but just never forget that you're a child of God, that you're loved and that you're worthy. And wherever that community may be for you, hold on to that and hold on to that identity in Christ.
So wonderful. Kenny, close us out, my bro. Final words.
I just want to encourage everybody to be the change that you want to see, and start by, acting rather than I see, and I hear, and I myself included, like just sit here and complain about so many things when we could be out there acting. And I love the quote that says, "Do for one what you wish you could do for everybody."
Mhm.
Yes, we can't feed everybody, but I can feed one person, or I can't listen to everybody's problems, but I can listen to one. And it all starts with the one. Do an act of compassion this week. Whether it's at the drive-through, paying somebody, or feeding somebody, or just even calling an old friend. Like, I just want to challenge everybody to start doing anything that you believe will make the world a better place.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, New Life SoCal crew, for being here with us this afternoon. I want to thank all of you guys out there for being with us here this afternoon as well. And I want to remind you, make this world a better place. Do your part to make it more beautiful. Stay in tune with the community. Breathe in what the great author of life has in store for your life, then run courageously after it. As these young adults are doing in the world around us, I pray that they inspire you to live the same way as they inspire me to live the same way. Until next Tuesday, my friends, may God take care of you, watch after you, be safe. All love to you guys. Thank you, team, for coming on here. You guys rock.
Yeah.
See you guys.
All right, we'll see you all a little later. Like, I don't know, a little later. Take care, my friends.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Vicky.
Thanks, Vicky.
Yeah. We're still here together.
Just keep going. Late
Yeah,
night jam session. Let's go. Let's go.
Are you guys,
Go.
are you guys ready to write that new jam?
Let's do it right now.